everyone, and welcome back to the official English channel. I'm Sophia, and I'm really happy you're spending some time with us today.
And I'm John. It's great to have you here again. Today's topic is something that can completely change the way you learn English, especially if you've been feeling stuck or bored with traditional methods.
Exactly. We're talking about learning English through stories, not worksheets, not endless grammar charts. Real stories that pull you in and help the language stay with you.
A lot of learners think studying a language has to feel difficult or stressful, but it doesn't. Stories make learning feel natural, almost effortless, if you use them the right way.
That's true. Think about this for a moment. You might forget a grammar rule you studied last week, but you probably remember the plot of a movie you watched years ago.
That's such a good comparison. Our brains are wired to remember stories. When information is wrapped inside a story, it sticks much better.
And that's one of the biggest reasons storytelling works so well for language learning. Words and grammar aren't floating on their own anymore. They're connected to people, emotions, situations, and actions.
Right. Instead of memorizing a sentence like, "she was running late," you see it happening in a scene. Someone is checking the clock, rushing out the door, feeling stressed. That context makes the language come alive.
And once language feels alive, it becomes much easier to understand and remember. You're not translating every word in your head, you're following the meaning.
Another big advantage is motivation. Let's be honest, doing grammar exercises for hours can feel exhausting, but reading a story or watching a show can feel relaxing.
Absolutely. When you're interested in what happens next, you naturally want to keep going. And the more exposure you get, the more your English improves without forcing it.
That's why so many learners who struggle in classrooms suddenly make progress when they start using stories.
And storytelling doesn't just help with vocabulary. It helps with sentence structure, pronunciation, listening skills, and even cultural understanding.
Culture is a huge part of language. Stories show how people actually speak, how they joke, how they argue, how they show politeness or emotion.
You start to understand what sounds natural and what doesn't. That's something textbooks often fail to teach.
So, when we talk about storytelling, what do we really mean? Are we only talking about novels?
Not at all. Stories come in many forms, and that's what makes this method so flexible. You can choose what fits your level and your interests.
Let's start with something very familiar to many learners, classic tales and simple stories.
These are great for beginners. They usually use clear language, repeated phrases, and simple sentence patterns.
Repetition is key. When you see similar structures again and again, your brain starts recognizing them automatically.
Exactly. And because you may already know the story, you can focus more on the language instead of worrying about understanding everything.
Then we move into short stories written for adults or learners. These are wonderful because they're not too long, but they still feel complete.
And they cover so many topics: love, mystery, daily life, work, travel. You can choose stories that match your personal interests.
When you enjoy the topic, learning feels less like studying and more like entertainment.
Another powerful option is news stories, especially simple or adapted news articles.
Some learners avoid the news because they think it's too difficult, but that doesn't have to be true.
If you choose short, clear articles, they can really help you learn vocabulary related to real-world events and everyday discussions.
And news stories follow a structure. There's usually a beginning, middle, and end. That structure helps you follow the flow of English.
So, movies and TV shows are another favorite for many learners.
Definitely. They're one of the most immersive ways to learn English.
When you watch a show, you're hearing natural speech, different accents, real emotions, and everyday expressions.
At first, it's completely fine to use subtitles in your own language. Then you can switch to English subtitles when you're ready.
Over time, many learners are surprised to realize they understand more than they thought, even without subtitles.
And one thing movies and shows are especially good for is informal English.
Yes, textbooks often teach very formal language, but real conversations are much more relaxed.
You hear contractions, slang, and expressions that native speakers actually use.
And then there are personal stories, which might be the most powerful of all.
I agree. Telling your own stories in English, even simple ones, helps you practice forming thoughts naturally.
You don't need to tell a dramatic story. You can talk about your day, a mistake you made, or something funny that happened.
When you tell a story, you're forced to connect ideas, use time expressions, and describe actions.
And listening to other people's personal stories exposes you to different ways of speaking and thinking in English.
So now that we've talked about different kinds of stories, the big question is how to actually use them for learning.
The first step is choosing content that genuinely interests you. This is so important.
If you're bored, your brain shuts down. But if you're curious, your brain stays alert.
Exactly. Don't choose something just because someone says it's good for learning. Choose something you enjoy.
The next step is active engagement. This doesn't mean stopping every few seconds.
It means paying attention. If you're listening, really listen. If you're reading, don't rush.
If you have both audio and text, try using them together when possible.
This helps connect how words look with how they sound, which is very helpful for pronunciation.
Vocabulary is another area where learners often struggle.
Yes, many people stop every time they see a new word, and that can break the flow.
Instead, try to guess the meaning from the situation. Often the story gives you enough clues.
After you finish, then you can look up words that felt important or appeared multiple times.
Writing them down with an example sentence from the story can help you remember them better.
Another very effective technique is retelling.
This is huge. After finishing a story, try explaining it in your own words.
You can speak out loud, write a short summary, or tell it to a friend.
You don't need to be perfect. The goal is to practice expressing ideas.
Discussion is also incredibly helpful.
Talking about a story forces you to use opinion words, reasons, and explanations.
You can join online groups, language exchanges, or even comment sections.
And finally, patience is key.
Language learning is a long journey. Stories make the journey enjoyable, but progress still takes time.
Don't worry if you don't understand everything. Even native speakers don't catch every word all the time.
What matters is consistency and enjoyment.
To make this more real, let's talk about a few examples of learners who use storytelling successfully.
Let's imagine someone named Sarah.
Sarah tried learning English through grammar books for years, but always felt frustrated.
One day, she decided to start reading simple English novels before bed, just for fun.
At first, she understood only parts of the story, but she kept going.
Over time, her vocabulary grew naturally, and grammar patterns started making sense without memorization.
She didn't feel like she was studying, but her English improved steadily.
Then there's someone like David.
David wanted to sound more natural when speaking.
He started watching his favorite TV shows in English and repeating short lines out loud.
Slowly, his pronunciation improved and his confidence grew.
He began using expressions he learned from the shows in real conversations.
These examples show that storytelling isn't passive. It's powerful when you engage with it.
Exactly. Stories create a bridge between learning and real communication.
And that's what language is really about.
Before we wrap up, let's give our listeners a small challenge.
Choose one short story in English this week. It can be anything you enjoy.
Read it or listen to it carefully.
Find 3 new words or phrases that feel useful to you.
Try using them in your own sentences.
And if you can, share what you learned with someone else.
Learning becomes stronger when it's shared.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
We hope this episode helps you see English learning in a new, more enjoyable way.
Keep learning, keep listening, and most importantly, keep enjoying the process.
We'll see you again very soon. And as you continue using stories, something interesting starts to happen without you even noticing it at first.
Yes, you begin to think in English instead of translating everything from your native language.
That moment is huge for learners. Suddenly, English feels less like a subject and more like a tool.
A tool you can use to understand ideas, share opinions, and connect with people.
This shift happens because stories train your brain to follow meaning, not individual words.
When you're focused on what's happening in a story, your mind naturally processes language in chunks.
Instead of translating word by word, you understand phrases, emotions, and intentions.
And that's exactly how native speakers use language.
Another benefit many learners don't expect is improved listening stamina.
That's a great point. At first, listening to English for even 5 minutes can feel tiring.
But when you listen to a story, you want to keep going.
Your brain gets used to the rhythm of English.
Over time, you can listen longer without feeling exhausted.
This is especially helpful for exams, interviews, or real-life conversations.
Let's also talk about pronunciation, because storytelling helps with that too.
When you hear words repeatedly in context, you learn how they're actually pronounced.
Not how you think they should sound, but how people really say them.
You start noticing connected speech, stress, and intonation.
For example, words often sound different in a sentence than they do alone.
Stories expose you to this naturally, without technical explanations.
And if you repeat lines from a story, you're training your mouth and ears together.
That combination is very powerful.
Another thing stories help with is confidence.
Many learners are afraid of making mistakes.
But when you're talking about a story, the focus shifts from your English to the idea.
You're sharing something interesting, not showing off perfect grammar.
This reduces pressure and makes speaking feel safer.
Confidence grows when communication works, even if it's not perfect.
And storytelling creates many chances for communication to work.
Now, some learners worry that stories are too slow or not serious enough.
But learning doesn't have to feel serious to be effective.
In fact, enjoyment often leads to better results.
When learning feels good, you do it more often.
And consistency beats intensity every time.
Let's talk about how to fit storytelling into a busy schedule.
That's important because many learners don't have hours every day.
The good news is you don't need hours. Even 10 or 15 minutes with a story can be effective.
You can read a short story during a break.
Or listen to a podcast while commuting or doing chores.
Watching a short video before bed also works.
The key is making it a habit.
Small, regular exposure adds up over time.
Another tip is revisiting the same story more than once.
Yes, repetition doesn't mean boredom if the content is interesting.
The first time, you focus on understanding the main idea.
The second time, you notice new words and expressions.
The third time, you hear pronunciation details you missed before.
Each repetition gives you something new.
And because you already know the story, it feels easier.
Easier doesn't mean useless. It means deeper learning.
Some learners also like to shadow stories.
That means listening and speaking along with the audio.
It's challenging at first, but very effective.
It improves fluency and rhythm.
You don't need to do it perfectly.
Just try to stay close to the speaker.
Over time, your speech becomes smoother.
Let's also mention writing because storytelling helps with that too.
When you read or listen to stories, you absorb natural sentence patterns. These patterns show up in your writing automatically.
Instead of forcing grammar rules, you start writing more naturally.
You can also write your own short stories in English.
They don't need to be creative or complex.
You can write about your day as a simple story.
What happened first, what happened next, how you felt.
This practice connects vocabulary, grammar, and organization.
And it reinforces everything you've learned from other stories.
Some learners ask if they should avoid grammar completely.
Grammar still matters, but it shouldn't be the only focus.
Stories give you a foundation.
Grammar explanations then make more sense.
Instead of memorizing rules, you recognize patterns you've already seen.
It's like learning the rules of a game after playing it.
That's a great way to describe it.
Another concern learners have is choosing the right level.
If a story is too difficult, it can be frustrating.
If it's too easy, it might feel boring.
A good rule is understanding about 70%.
Enough to follow the story, but still challenging.
And remember, it's okay to struggle a little.
Struggle means growth.
Let's talk briefly about using technology with storytelling.
There's so many tools available now.
Audiobooks, podcasts, videos, apps, and websites.
You can slow down audio if needed.
Or replay sections as many times as you want.
Some platforms even offer transcripts.
These tools make storytelling more accessible than ever.
But the tool matters less than how you use it.
Exactly. Passive listening won't give the same results.
Active engagement is the key.
Before we finish, let's remind our listeners of the main idea.
Learning English doesn't have to be painful.
Stories turn learning into an experience.
They help you remember, understand, and enjoy the language.
They connect words to real meaning.
And they help you grow naturally over time.
If you've been feeling stuck, try changing your approach.
Pick a story you love.
Give yourself permission to enjoy English.
Progress will follow.
Thank you again for being with us today.
We truly appreciate you.
Keep listening, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself.
English is not out of reach.
It's a story you're already part of.
And you're doing better than you think.
Until next time, take care and keep learning.